Eriq La Salle. You love him from ER, Coming to America, and so much more. And today he's here to talk about his book. Welcome, Eriq, to KJ Today. Good morning, Eriq.
Good morning. How are you, KJ?
Very excited to be talking with you and to be talking about something that a lot of us didn't realize you even did, which is publish books. And we've got your third one out, Laws of Annihilation. Let's talk about Eriq La Salle, the author, this morning.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I started writing several years ago, and I think sometimes there is the sort of the prejudice of what people think they know about you, and so you're an actor, you're a director, you're a producer, but it takes a while for them. Oh, he's an author, and then is he a good author? And so I've been dealing, facing that and as a cool challenge. And now, with three books in, they are, very well received. The Laws of Annihilation has already started making bestsellers lists. So there is the sort of, being legitimatized in that way, what I mean, validated.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I started writing a while ago. This is a series. This is the third book. I already have the fourth book pretty much written. I'm thinking about the fifth book already. So this is an ongoing thing. It's a passion. It's another form of storytelling for me, like to add to, like I said, the list of things that I do. But I see them all as being extensions of each other. You know what I mean? So the acting helps me with being a director. The directing helps me with being obviously an executive producer. The executive producer, all that stuff helps me with being an author and being a storyteller. So to be fortunate enough to be able to tell the stories that I tell, and in this particular one, it resonates in a different way because it focuses on the franchise focuses on three protagonists, and very much tonally in the vein of the movie Seven. And so you have an Irish Italian American cop, a detective who's partnered with his best friend, who's an African American cop. They're considered the best case closers in New York City. They only investigate high profile serial killings, and they team up with a Jewish American female FBI agent. And in Laws of Annihilation, the second chapter in, two rabbis are viciously murdered in a synagogue. And so you have this Jewish FBI agent who's heading up the investigation, who, by the way, in the first chapter was just diagnosed with terminal cancer. But she's, faced with the biggest and most important case of her career, and nothing's going to keep her from, trying to solve this along with the other two protagonists. So we're dealing with, subject matter of racial hatred, racial discord, the threat of a race war, all these, tensions. There's a B storyline where the son of a rabbi he's guy character happens to be racist, is imprisoned in a basement with a racist African American activist, and they hate each other. They have every reason to want to kill each other, but then they figure out at some point their captors is the greater enemy, and that they have to try to figure out some way, if they're going to survive, if they're going to make it out of this captivity, some way to work together. And so as even though we're dealing with some dark subject matter, and if you think about what's happening in the world right now, there is light at the end of the story, not in a preachy way, but there is light, and there's a perspective that offers us some encouragement on what we're doing. So I'm really proud of it, and readers are really responding to it, and we got getting great reviews, bestseller, topping bestsellers list. As a matter of fact, the three books even topped the bestseller list as a trifecta. So they were number one, two, and three, which is an author's dream. So I'm loving this ride and this part of my journey, and looking forward to more.
Yeah, well, we here on the show, we have a book club. It's called the Can't Commit to a Book Club because there's no commitment. Show up if you can. But we're actually looking for new books. And my producer, I wish she could be here right now. She like lives and breathes the Dick Wolf world, right? So when I was reading about your latest book and the other two that came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this just sounds like exactly what we should be reading, and led me to wonder, Eriq, do when you are writing these books, because of the fact that you're a director and you're an actor, are you imagining these characters as particular actors themselves, as a potential that maybe this moves to a series or big screen?
Absolutely, that's the end game. And the goal was always to create a successful literary franchise that turns into a successful film or streaming franchise. So yeah, I write with certain actors in mind. It just helps me with the rhythms and the habits, etc. So that is definitely the goal. And the more successful the book franchise becomes, the easier it is for Hollywood to get behind it, because Hollywood loves assurances. They're not always risk takers. You know what I mean? They want to know, oh well, this is successful over here. So okay, we're comfortable with that. But if it's, oh well, it's
Yeah.
unproven, they're more, so the more successful. So now, like I said, now that we're topping bestsellers lists and we're, the reviews are, have been great. We are really, really happy to be moving towards that. But that is the goal. I do have the fourth book pretty much already written. I'm beginning to start thinking about the fifth book. So that represents, if we did it as a streamer, that represents 5 seasons, because you would have, 5 different cases each season. Oh, I'm sorry, the different case each season for 5 seasons.
Mhm.
So I don't know. We'll see if I write more beyond. Right now, I know I have 5 in me. We'll see, how, if I want to add to that. But or it becomes, like I said, a successful movie franchise. So it's definitely set up that way. Readers are constantly commenting about how visual and cinematic the books are anyway, and so most people read it and they go, I can totally see this as a movie. I can totally see this as a streamer, because of my style of writing, which is obviously heavily influenced by, my day jobs. So so yes, but that's definitely the goal.
Well, we will look forward to that. And I just have to say, Eriq, I actually it was almost exactly a year ago. I put out my first book, and I'm sitting here listening to you talk about, the first book came out, the second, the third, and you got the fourth and the fifth, and I'm blown away at how you are able to pull this off. Does it just feel like something very natural for you?
Yes, well, because storytelling, they all feel natural to me. Acting feels natural to me. Directing feels natural to me. Producing feels natural to me, because they're all extensions of storytelling, and I love, that's my passion. I love being a storyteller, and so I don't see them as separate. I see them as complements to each other, and that they elevate each other. So, they're not. It's not easy to execute necessarily. Writing is as is very, very challenging and arduous, and complex and lonely. But man, is it gratifying? You go through that, and you're like, you're creating worlds. You're creating the lives, and when the
Mhm.
characters just feel alive, and when people respond to it, and when you respond to it, you're just like, wow, that came from me. You know what I mean? That's what I love about writing fiction. And I take nothing away from anyone writing any book, because every book is difficult to write, but fiction is all imagination. And then it's and to do it alone, and I don't. There are no ghostwriters. Everything that I write is solely from me. yeah. So no, look, I love it. I love it, and I would encourage your book club to let this be a because my books lead to some really really interesting discussions, and I've done a lot of book clubs, and the questions are so amazing and so cool. And like I said, we're dealing with this book deals with. Unfortunately, the stuff that's happening in the world today of racial discord and racial hatred and the threat of race wars, et cetera. And so the timing of this book with what's happening in the world is eerie, but people are also responding to that, and and like I said, the book does offer light at the end. So but it does make for very lively conversations and debates because I write from a point of view of being objective. I don't take sides. I just present. It's my job as the artist to present three-dimensional accounts of the good, the bad, the indifferent, the in between, all of that, and that's what I do. And I let the reader decide what side are they leaning on. So that's something that is really, really cool, and that's why it leads to really great conversations. Because in some of my books, my first book, you had a serial killer that was killing um, uh, fallen clergy that were pedophiles, that were charlatans, that were, thieves and abusing their titles. And so you had a serial killer that was killing. Well, a lot of people were like, I was kind of rooting for the bad guy, you know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it's just cool to have that, to let the reader decide where they lean in on certain subject matters. And like I said, with all this racial discord in the world today, I just let the reader decide, you know, where do they lean, where are their leanings going, and because of that, I think that helps the success of the book and the reason that people are responding to it so favorably.
Eric, I have one more question. I always like to go to our listeners and followers to see if there's anything they want to know from you. And I do have a mom listening who Stephanie. She says, I have a 10-year-old daughter who loves writing. I think it is going to be her passion. Is there anything that he would recommend to me as a parent to help steer her in the right direction?
That's awesome. That is awesome. Because, I started writing poetry at 8 years old. I would write short stories, just little just whatever. But it was a passion there. I think right now, and it already seems that she's there. I think her encouragement. I think if she wants to find I don't know where she lives, but try to find creative writing classes so that even as a young adult, as a young person, they're getting structure. They're getting a sense of craft. They're like I didn't have that. I just wrote from the hip when I was 8 years old, and I wrote basically from 8 to 14, and then at 14 I became focused on acting, and when I joined the drama club. But when I came back to acting, I took class. I read really good authors. So I would encourage her to have her daughter to read good authors, good YA or whatever her genre is, whatever she likes writing, but to read. We call it reading up. Read things that elevate you. And her mother can actively look for creative writing classes for young people. I don't know what's available, but I would do the research, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to give foundation to craft. And I'm so proud of this mother, just like taking that interest and that passion and taking her child seriously at that age and understanding that this might be what she really wants to do. So I'm going to help her. That's amazing because a lot of parents are afraid of that. They're like, oh, I don't know, this is something different. So she should just continue, like I said, but help her daughter to find the foundation of craft through some good classes, telling her to study good writers, recommend some stuff, even if it's stuff out of her element and out of her genre, but just encouraging because when you read good stuff, you get encouraged. And So that would be my advice.
Thank you so much. Eriq La Salle on the KJ Today Show. The book is Laws of Annihilation. It is out now, and it is coming soon to the Can't Commit to a Book Club. So thank you so much, Eriq. Have a lovely day, and we hope to talk to you again soon about the next book.
Yes, and let me know. I'm on all socials, so your book club can reach out to me. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, it creates lively debate and lively conversation. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say.
Absolutely. You'll be hearing from us. Thanks for joining us for another celebrity interview. Of course, the KJ Today Show isn't just about talking to celebs. It's about hanging out with you. Join us live on Wednesday nights for pop culture, people to know, and pets. The KJ Today Show on YouTube. Subscribe and watch live Wednesday nights at 7.